Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of Bolt Breakdowns here on the Guilty as Charged podcast YouTube channel. My name is Alex. As always, I did an episode 2 days ago doing a training camp preview. If you guys saw that, but we obviously have a pretty serious, different story to talk about today. Steven and Tyler are going to be out until next week, so I thought I would hop on the channel and talk about this Najee Harris news that broke yesterday, rumbled through rumors throughout the week on social media. But Najee Harris was indeed involved in a 4th of July weekend fireworks incident. This was the statement from his agent, Wasserman's Doug Hendrickson. Najee Harris was present at a 4th of July event where a fireworks mishap resulted in injuries to several attendees. Najee sustained a superficial eye injury during the incident, but is fully expected to be ready for the upcoming NFL season. Again, a statement that doesn't really give us a ton to go off of, other than simply confirming the news. 30 minutes before that statement was released by Najee's agent, the Mercury News, a Bay Area local paper, and news organization put out this article, which did implicate, was the first time a major news organization put out that Najee was specifically the one to be implicated in this incident. All we had known prior to that was that there was an incident in his hometown of Antioch, but we didn't know if he was involved. And there was, a lot of like I said, rumors that spread online, but nothing that was, reportable back to him. And 30 minutes before Najee's agent released that statement, this is what the Mercury News put out. 4th of July fireworks explosion injured Antioch native and NFL running back Najee Harris, prompting fans to worry about over his upcoming season with his new team, the Los Angeles Chargers, and perhaps the rest of his career. Multiple sources confirmed to the Bay Area News Group. The nature and severity of Harris's injury cannot be immediately verified. Officials said that other people had been hurt in the blast, but did not specify their number or how severely any of them had been injured. The mishap happened at 12:20 a.m. on July 5th in the 2200 block of Spanos Street and injured more than one person. In a statement, Antioch police said that some were injured. Some of the injured were treated at the scene and hospitalized. Before this report came out 5 days ago, that's when we knew about the fireworks explosion accident having happened, with the Antioch Police Department posting it on their Facebook page and posting it locally there in the area. But again, we didn't know who was involved in this. All we knew is that multiple people were injured at the time. The Mercury News report continues. In a statement, Antioch police said some of the injured were treated at the scene and hospitalized. Others drove themselves to the hospital, the police said. This is an unfortunate accident, and our thoughts are with the family and all of those affected during this difficult time. Police wrote in that July 5th Facebook post about the incident. We ask for patience and privacy for the families as our investigation continues. The Mercury News report does say specifically of Najee Harris. According to multiple sources, Harris first went to John Muir Hospital in Concord and later to Stanford Hospital for treatment. It was not clear whether he went by ambulance or was transported by private vehicle to the John Muir facility. Antioch police said on Thursday they were still investigating the incident actively and had no other comment. So again, after that article had come out, that's when prompted the Najee Harris agent, quote, kind of confirming the matter, but not anything else that was reported in that article. Pretty serious stuff. Again, if you were on Twitter and Reddit, it was pretty hard to ignore. I know several people asked me if I knew anything about any of this. Me, Tyler, Steven, we were all kind of messaging back and forth, trying to figure out what was real, what we were kind of allowed to post, what we actually knew throughout the whole week. And that's kind of what strikes me about this story is there was not a lot immediately verifiable about any of this information. And it really took almost a whole week until we actually realized, officially that Najee was involved in this incident. You just had a lot of Twitter, Reddit, posts that kind of were rumoring it, or that he had lost his whole eye, or things of this nature, but nothing that could be proven, again, until Najee's agent had released that statement and sort of not put an end to the speculation, but officially confirm, the rumors that had been rumbling throughout the week. So now there is kind of enough to at least talk about it, comment on it going forward, and hence why I kind of wanted to make this video. I am struck again by like how little we still know about Najee's injury itself. Is it superficial? That could mean a lot of things with the eye, whether that's a corneal abrasion, is that a retinal detachment, is that, again, a fireworks incident with the eye could mean a lot of things. I don't want to specify a ton on what that means, again, because no one has seen Najee, in public yet. Probably not even next week necessarily at training camp is when I think we would see him. Harbaugh is, of course, probably going to be asked about this at media availability. Given what we've seen with Harbaugh in the past, I would imagine that we probably are not going to hear many details from the Chargers side of this specifically. But again, a lot of information to try to process and piece together. And, you had Ian Rappaport, you have Jordan Schultz, you had all of these NFL reporters who could not verify exactly what happened. A couple days ago, NFL insider Jordan Schultz did comment a heart post on one of Najee's most recent Instagrams, I think from May, which again fueled the speculation that something had happened, but nobody sort of knew what exactly had happened. And so I also will read this San Francisco Chronicle article. This was from July 6th, the Sunday morning after a lot of this had happened, demonstrating exactly the nature of some of these injuries. It seems that Najee, although we'll have to deal with this eye injury, and we'll see exactly what that, encompasses. There were other people in Najee's friends or family that were hurt worse than he was. This comes from, again, the San Francisco Chronicle. 6 men and a 13-year-old boy were injured when a firework exploded at an Antioch police apartment complex over the 4th of July weekend, police said Sunday, as detectives continued to investigate the blast. The man who lit the firework remained at a hospital in critical condition as of Sunday afternoon, Lieutenant William Whitaker said, adding that the man had lost several fingers and suffered other injuries to his face and chest. Obviously, we know that that individual who was injured worse is not Najee Harris, but rather someone else who was at this 4th of July celebration. The explosion, which involved a high-grade firework, occurred around 12:20 a.m. Saturday in a back alley at an apartment complex on Spano Street off Sycamore Drive. Paramedics took 4 of the men to a hospital, Whitaker said. 2 others drove themselves to a hospital, and the boy declined medical treatment. All of the men were in their 20s, police said, and the extent of their injuries were unclear. So, that is essentially the extent of everything that I've tried to piece together from what we know at this juncture right now. First of all, I think before I say anything else regarding this or speculating, some of the football medical stuff here, it goes without saying that any 4th of July, obviously this stuff, kind of continues to happen. 10 years ago with Jason Pierre-Paul, not just NFL players, but there's several injuries, across the country with many people who make these decisions to use fireworks. This is not, to blame Najee or to blame his friends and family, but seriously, be careful, in the future, whenever you are around fireworks or whether you're using them or not, because it's serious and it can, something. It seems like Najee, for the most part, has escaped this, but I've already seen multiple injuries, across the internet that now have become life-changing injuries for people as they cope with their injuries and try to seek treatment. The one man who was seriously injured in this accident, plenty of other examples you can find on social media at other 4th of July gatherings. So, please, in that sense, be careful. It's not worth it to lose, a hand, a finger, your life over something like this. And so, I say that out the front of this, and obviously prayers to Najee, his family, his friends who were at this 4th of July celebration. Just kind of tragic to see stuff like this continue to happen. As far as what this means going forward, like I said, I am of the mindset that you look at what Najee's agent has put out there versus the Mercury News report that I read earlier, and the other reports that I've read. They seem to be more serious than what Najee's agent has put out there. So I'm kind of not willing to put Najee himself, in the clear. He's great. Week 1, we're good. And I'm also not willing to, go to the other extreme of that, which is, there's going to be significant repercussions and he's going to miss a lot of time. I think that, it doesn't make sense to speculate to that degree. All I know is that superficial eye injury doesn't really narrow down what we're talking about and what exactly happened with the firework itself and what exactly Najee's dealing with. But that being said, the Chargers will probably get a better idea of this once camp opens. The Chargers do have to report. Veteran players have to report on the 16th. Rookies report tomorrow as I make this video on the 12th. Veterans report on the 16th, and then you will have 17th being the first day of camp. There's a lot of ways that this can go, but one possible way is that the Chargers could use the NFI list, non-football illness, non-football injury. This is what the Chargers did with Junior Colson last year when he had his appendectomy for the appendicitis and then reported to camp. He spent a week on the NFI list and then came off and was ready to get back into practice shape and things like that. So I would imagine that is probably the road that we will eventually be heading down with Najee Harris. Obviously, the Chargers probably aren't going to release any kind of statement definitively on that this week until training camp starts and all the players report. So I would imagine, just kind of keep a lookout for that. I think that probably will be the next step of this process. And then, of course, we also, I guess, have to talk about the on-field consequences of this, which are, getting Greg Roman's run game, sort of running. It is a shame to not, even if Najee is back there for week 1, you want all of this like continuity and everyone around, Herbert and this offense to be healthy. And it's kind of a shame that we're already starting, obviously the football part is the less serious part, but we're already starting off kind of on the wrong foot there as far as Najee's availability in this training camp cycle. Again, not necessarily, for a veteran player, I'm not as concerned about that. Najee can fit into the offense, once he is able to practice and once he is able to return. But it is, a hit for the Chargers to take here as they try to kind of build out their offense and hopefully start the year on the right foot. Again, 3 straight divisional games, your offense, your run game needs to be kind of on its P's and Q's to start the year. And right now you're already kind of risking that with this Najee Harris situation. So again, prayers out to Najee. Hope he's back on the practice field as soon as possible, but also takes the time that he needs to be able to get back here. And, I don't want to assume. I think it's probably fair to say that Najee won't be on the practice field, that those Thursday and Friday practices that will open training camp. And then, of course, that naturally opens the door for players like Kamani Vidal, Rocket Sanders, Jared Patterson, other guys that are on this roster to, prove that they belong. Obviously, when Najee Harris is ready to go, it will primarily be the Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris show, but there will be an opportunity for those backs to prove that they belong on the roster or give them a reason to keep 3, 4, 5 running backs, in the on the mainstay of the roster. Obviously, a lot still looming in these training camp battles, but it will be an opportunity again for Kimani and Rocket Sanders and others to kind of earn their spot while Najee is potentially out here, at least to start training camp. I think that probably is safe. That is the expectation, even if he is to be ready by week 1. Obviously, the sooner he's back into the swing of things, the better. As I mentioned earlier, with the possible placement on the NFI list, one of the things that could happen as a result of that is, it would be it would depend on when Najee is able to return. Players, when the Chargers do have to make their 53-man roster, who are still on the NFI list, do need to be taken off by the time that they make the 53-man roster. And so if Najee is not off that list by then, that would trigger, similar to what the rules are for the IR and some of these other things that the NFL has crafted, where Najee would be out for the first 4 weeks of the season if he is not able to be removed from the NFI list, if the Chargers ultimately do place him there sometime towards the beginning of camp next week. But that's all that I have on this injury and everything going on right now. Again, terrible situation. I don't want to speculate too much on exactly what the injury is, until we hear more information. But hope for the best for Najee. Hope for the best for his family and friends that were, seemingly more severely injured at this 4th of July celebration. As always, be careful out there and bolt up, and we'll keep updating the story as it goes along.